Okay, get ready to dive deep, everyone, because today we're looking at social marketing.
Lots to unpack here.
And it looks like you've brought a ton of material.
I did?
About how brands are trying to change the world, or at
Right.
least, how they're trying to appear like they are. I see we've got some lecture slides, some pretty hefty research reports,
Yeah, some good stuff.
even a best date ever challenge.
Yes.
What is going on here?
Well, we're going to try to put it all together today.
Ooh, I am intrigued.
I think it'll be a really interesting conversation.
All right, so where'd you even get all this stuff?
Yeah, so we're looking at some materials from Professor Carlos Espano's 2025 social marketing course.
Oh, wow.
And then also tying that in with some really interesting research reports.
Cool.
So it's, we're seeing where the theory meets the real world.
I like it.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed going through all this, every single piece you sent me mentions how consumers are gaining more and more power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, is that the main takeaway here?
It's a huge takeaway.
Okay.
And Espino really, really emphasizes this in his lectures.
All right.
Like, he believes that in the future,
Yeah.
a brand's positive global impact is going to be the deciding factor for whether consumers buy from them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings up the really interesting question. Is that happening because brands are actually becoming more ethical? Or because they just see the writing on the wall and are trying to, appeal to what people want?
Right.
Which is-
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The age-old question, genuine change or savvy marketing?
Yeah.
Espino definitely seems to be pushing for actual change.
Okay.
He's urging his students, and kind of by extension, to use the system itself to create good.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we, quote, use the system?
Well, he actually brings in this quote from C. Strong,
Okay.
who wrote back in 1998, that the consumer takes into account the public consequences of their private consumption habits
Okay.
and tries to use their purchasing power to achieve social change.
That was 1998.
1998.
It's like these ideas have been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's not a new thing.
And what we're seeing is an evolution, not just a sudden, shift.
Right.
Yeah, and the research that you sent, it highlights this too, like this clear progression of consumer awareness.
Okay.
So, we started with the green consumer,
Right.
who was concerned about environmental impact.
Right.
And then the socially responsible consumer.
Okay.
And now we're talking about the ethical consumer,
Right.
who's
yeah.
considering all these factors before they buy something, environmental, ethical, socioeconomic.
Okay, so we've got the conscious consumer evolving, but Professor Espino, he talks about a tipping point too,
He does.
where it's not just individuals making changes,
Yes.
but like society as a whole. He has that roller coaster analogy, remember? Yes.
That's a good one.
Pushing the boulder uphill.
Oh, yeah, like Sisyphus.
Yeah, exactly.
But then suddenly it starts rolling down the other side.
Yeah, all that momentum.
Exactly, yeah.
But a great visual.
Powerful.
Makes you wonder though, are we there yet? Like in 2025, has the snowball started rolling?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
Even looking back now, it's hard to say.
Right.
But Espino, he points to some pretty compelling evidence.
Like what?
Well, he even specifically calls out 2025 as kind of a pivotal year
Okay.
with the rise of what he calls the woke movement,
Oh, right.
which seems to be less about, one specific event and more about a general shift in awareness around social justice and equity.
He's not just talking about activists, though.
Right? He's talking about, like, major corporations.
Wow.
Even streaming giants,
Like who?
like Disney Plus set, Netflix, HBO, incorporating these ideas into their content and marketing.
That's huge.
It is, yeah. And it makes me think about how much younger generations are driving this.
Absolutely.
Espino, he highlights Gen Z and Gen Alpha as the driving force behind all this.
Totally.
And, they're digital natives.
They are.
They're constantly connected. They've got this platform. They're not afraid to use their voice.
Right, a voice that previous generations just didn't have.
And I think that's reflected in the research.
So?
Like that Kantar Market Mexico 2021 report.
Yeah.
It says 62% of young consumers believe brands have a responsibility
Huge number.
to take a stand on social issues.
Yeah.
That's not even a preference anymore. It's an expectation.
It's an expectation.
And then on top of that, 84% of young people say they actually feel more positive
Wow.
towards brands that are involved in social causes.
That's amazing.
So they're not just avoiding the bad guys, they're actively looking for the good guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what does all this mean for marketers then? It's like they have this incredible power
Maybe more than ever.
to shape perceptions and influence behavior.
It's true.
And Espino doesn't shy away from this.
Yeah.
He calls on marketers to wield that power ethically and authentically,
Right.
create genuine value instead of just, as he puts it, selling happiness.
And he has that video, right?
He does, yeah, the happiness video.
Which we'll be sure to link in the show notes for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
So good.
Yeah, it's very thought-provoking.
That actually leads perfectly into what Espino calls converting brands into projects.
Yes.
I have to admit, when I saw that in his notes, I was a bit confused.
It's an interesting term.
Yeah.
But what he's essentially arguing for
Yeah.
is this complete shift in how we think about business.
Okay.
Away from a profit-driven model
Yeah.
to one that prioritizes shared value creation.
So instead of focusing on the bottom line,
Right.
they should be thinking about their impact on the world.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty idealistic.
It does sound idealistic.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly relevant to what Pringle and Thompson argue in their book, Brand Spirit. They're saying that brand value is becoming increasingly tied to a company's positive contributions to society.
So it's not just about feeling good.
Right.
It's about good business.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Espino, he actually outlined some very specific benefits
Okay.
for businesses that embrace this approach,
Like what?
like reduced operating costs.
Okay. Makes sense.
Especially through environmentally friendly initiatives,
Sure.
increased sales and market share,
Wow.
attracting investors and top talent.
Okay.
People want to work for companies that are doing good things in the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And ultimately, strengthening that brand image and corporate influence.
So lots of upside.
Yeah, it's a pretty compelling case.
What I thought was really interesting was how he contrasted the traditional NGO model,
Yeah.
which he sees as slow-moving and reliant on funding,
Right.
with the innovative approach of social entrepreneurship. He really thinks that social initiatives need to be designed for financial self-sustainability.
Right, from day one.
From day one, wow.
Yeah.
He's really putting his money where his mouth is with that best date ever assignment, too.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Remember that from his lecture notes?
Yeah.
Imagine planning a date for someone in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You have to think about accessibility,
Right.
inclusivity,
Mm.
the real-world impact of your choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really forces you to see the world from a different perspective.
It's a powerful exercise in empathy, for sure.
And I think that's what this whole deep dive is about, isn't it? Like connecting the dots between business, social impact, the evolving role of the consumer,
It really is.
all connected.
All these threads are weaving together.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Before we move on, I think we should recap what we've learned so far.
Good idea.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. Yeah. Definitely powerful.
And it really highlights that we're not just passive consumers anymore. We actually have the power to shape things
Yeah.
with our choices.
From our wallets. Yeah.
Our wallets.
That's true.
Speaking of change and stuff,
Yeah.
there's this timeline in Espino's slides. He traces all these major events that have shaped social consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
Starts all the way back with the World Wars, the Cold War,
Yeah.
fall of the Berlin Wall,
Right.
and then it goes through the civil rights movement, the AIDS epidemic,
Right.
the rise of consumerism in the 80s,
Yeah.
even those ecological disasters, at the end of the 20th century.
Right.
He even brings it up to today.
Yeah.
The new millennium, globalization, the rise of social media, the Arab Spring, the #MeToo movement.
It's a lot's happened
It really is.
in a short amount of time.
And it makes you realize how much things have changed,
Yeah. Yeah.
even in just a few decades.
Even just a few decades. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And yet,
Yeah.
through it all, there's this thread of hope that we can use these systems,
Okay.
the very systems that sometimes feel like they're working against us,
Right.
to create positive change.
And that's where Espino's idea of converting brands into projects comes in.
Yes, absolutely.
He's challenging this traditional business model
Right.
of just being profit-driven
Yeah,
to focus on this shared value creation.
exactly.
That's kind of a radical idea,
It is a radical idea.
to redefine the whole nature of business.
It is. It's definitely, pushing the boundaries.
But is it even possible?
I think it's necessary
Okay.
if we want to tackle the challenges that we're facing today.
And it goes back to what Pringle and Thompson said too.
Yeah.
In brand spirit,
Totally.
brands need a soul.
They need a soul.
They need a deeper meaning.
Deeper meaning,
Something consumers can connect with emotionally.
Yeah,
So it's not enough to just slap a green label on something.
right, exactly.
Or run some feel-good ad campaign.
Or donate $1, yeah.
Yeah. Consumers are looking for something more.
They're savvy.
Yeah.
They can spot greenwashing from a mile away.
Espino has a whole slide on that, actually.
He does, yeah.
All about how to identify greenwashing.
Vague claims, misleading claims,
Yeah.
a lack of data, just a focus on superficial things rather than actual systemic change.
Right.
Even calling out, like, the overuse of nature imagery.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's all style over substance.
So basically, don't just talk the talk.
Right, exactly.
Walk the walk.
Walk the walk.
Espino really pushes his students to go beyond those surface-level efforts.
Yeah,
To develop initiatives that are truly impactful
meaningful.
and sustainable.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, he doesn't let the traditional NGO model off the hook either.
No, he doesn't.
He thinks it's too reliant on external funding,
Right. Too much bureaucracy.
bogged down in bureaucracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So instead, he's advocating for this more entrepreneurial approach to social change
Where it's designed to be financially self-sustaining.
from the start.
From day one.
And he even lists out some benefits for companies that do this.
Yeah, he does.
Decreased operational costs,
Yeah, through environmentally friendly initiatives.
increased sales and market share,
Makes sense.
attracting investors,
Investors love this stuff now.
attracting better talent
Yeah, the best and brightest.
who are drawn to companies with a strong social purpose
Exactly.
and ultimately a stronger brand image
Yes.
and greater corporate influence.
Couldn't agree more.
It sounds like Espino saying that doing good is good for business.
Yeah, doing well by doing good.
He really drives that point home with his social triangle framework,
Yeah, the social triangle.
which builds on Simon Sinek's golden circle
Yeah.
concept.
Oh yeah, the why, how, what.
Exactly.
But Espino takes it a step further.
Okay.
He says understanding the why behind a social initiative is crucial.
Okay.
It's not enough to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. You have to know why you're doing it.
You have to know why.
The deeper purpose
The deeper purpose.
behind your actions.
And he also talks about this idea of behavior brands
Yeah, I love that.
that actually live their ethical code.
Yes. It's not just lip service.
It's about walking the walk.
Walking the walk.
And he even suggests moving away from traditional storytelling
Interesting.
and instead reporting on results.
Oh, I see.
So it's less about telling a good story and more about showing the impact you're making.
Transparency and accountability.
Transparency and accountability.
That's key.
Espino seems really passionate about social entrepreneurship
He does.
as a model for driving change.
Yeah,
He even includes a couple of examples in his notes.
he does.
A YouTube channel called Challengers
Oh, cool.
and a video about Nike's equality campaign.
I've heard good things about that campaign.
We'll make sure to link those for you in the show notes.
Yes, definitely.
What's interesting to me is how Espino challenges his students to think outside the box with these initiatives.
And not only make them impactful,
Right.
but also financially self-sustaining,
Yeah.
even profitable.
So it's like
Doing good and making money.
they can coexist.
It doesn't have to be either.
They can work together.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
And it speaks to that blurring of lines
I like-
we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
between business and social impact.
It all coming together.
One thing that stuck with me
Yeah.
was that image in Espino's presentation.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
It was just rats
What?
crammed onto a subway train,
Oh, yeah.
all rushing toward the same destination.
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
And the caption was, "As marketers, we can sell anything, even happiness."
It's a powerful image.
It's a powerful image,
It's so simple,
but
but
thought-provoking.
it's kind of disturbing.
It is a bit disturbing.
But it makes you think about the power of marketing.
And the responsibility that comes with that.
yeah, please.
We have to be careful. I don't think Espino's trying to demonize marketing, though.
No, I don't think so either.
I think he's just trying to challenge marketers to use their power responsibly.
Yeah.
And he's not just talking about some vague ideas. He's giving concrete strategies.
Tools. Frameworks. Yeah.
Yeah, he's giving them a roadmap.
Like that best date ever challenge.
Right, even that.
It's lighthearted,
Yeah,
but it really gets at this idea of empathy
total.
and seeing things from different perspectives.
And that's essential for good marketing.
And it all comes back to that idea of shared value creation,
Uh-huh.
of brands being more than just profit machines,
Right.
but active participants.
In making the world a better place.
Yeah. It's a big ask,
It is a big ask.
but Espino seems to think it's possible.
I think he believes in the power of marketing to do good.
And you know what? After going through all this with you,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think it's possible too.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
But you know, one thing I've been thinking about.
It's interesting that Espino's slides are in Spanish.
Oh, no?
Do we know if he's teaching in Mexico?
Oh, that makes sense.
Maybe.
Yeah, these slides are specifically for a marketing course in
Yeah.
Mexico.
Oh.
So the language makes sense.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So he's in Mexico challenging these students to think differently about marketing.
Seems like it.
And he's giving them real-world examples and frameworks.
Yeah,
Even fun assignments like that best date ever thing.
right.
It's like it all comes full circle.
It does. It all ties together.
You know, if marketing can convince us to buy things we don't need.
Right, like those rats on the subway.
Yeah, exactly.
Just mindlessly consuming.
Maybe it can convince us to care about things that really matter.
I mean, it's possible.
And not just care,
Yeah.
but act.
To act on it, yeah.
Espino isn't just asking his students to think critically.
He's asking them to be the change,
Yeah.
to make a difference.
I really liked what he said about storytelling.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
He suggested moving away from traditional storytelling.
And instead, reporting on results.
Interesting.
Less about telling a good story.
Right.
More about showing the impact.
Showing, not telling.
Exactly.
Transparency is key.
It is. It's all about accountability, too.
Absolutely.
You know, he even used the term behavior brands.
I like that term.
It's not just what you say.
Right.
It's what you do.
Actions speak louder than words.
And he thinks social entrepreneurship is a great way to put that into practice.
Absolutely.
He gave his students a couple examples for their final projects.
Oh, I'll write the links.
Yeah, that YouTube channel Challengers.
Yeah.
And the video about Nike's equality campaign.
Those are good ones.
We'll link those for everyone in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely check those out.
It's so interesting how Espino encourages his students to think about sustainability.
Yes.
Not just environmental,
Right.
but financial too.
It has to be sustainable on all levels.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's not really sustainable. So he's challenging them to make these initiatives financially self-sustaining.
Right, not just reliant on donations or grants.
Yeah, even profitable.
It's about creating a system that works.
It's brilliant.
It is. It's a whole new way of thinking.
You know, it's like business and social impact, they don't have to be at odds.
Not at all.
They can work together.
They can complement each other.
And maybe even make each other stronger.
Absolutely.
So what does all this mean for us? The lines are definitely blurring.
Yeah, between business and social impact,
We're not just consumers anymore.
we have a voice.
We have power.
Every purchase we make is a vote
It's a vote.
for the world we want to see.
And if marketing can sell us happiness,
Right, like that rat race video.
what else can it influence?
It's a big question.
It is a big question.
And the answer is up to all of us?
That's something for everyone to think about.
Definitely. Something to ponder.